It was July 1st, 1863, when the quiet town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, awoke to the rumble of cannon wheels and the crack of musket fire. The fields that once whispered with the wind would soon echo with the cries of thousands. General Robert E. Lee, confident after victories at Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville, had brought his Confederate army into Union territory, hoping a decisive victory would sway Northern public opinion and encourage foreign recognition of the Confederacy. But the Union Army of the Potomac, now under the cautious but steady leadership of General George G. Meade, moved to intercept. On that first day, Confederate forces pushed back Union lines, forcing them through the town's narrow streets, leaving the Union Army to regroup on the high ground of Cemetery Hill and Culp's Hill. The air smelled of gunpowder, the town filled with wounded men and frightened families hiding in cellars. July the 2nd dawned with heavy fog, which soon lifted to reveal both armies' positioning for the day's brutal engagements. Lee ordered attacks on the Union flanks, leading to ferocious fighting in places that would be etched into memory: Little Round Top, the Wheat Field, and Devil's Den. Union Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and his men of the 20th Maine held their ground in a desperate bayonet charge on Little Round Top, preventing the Confederate forces from flanking the Union line. July 3rd came, and Lee, believing the Union center to be weakened, ordered what would become the infamous Pickett's Charge. Nearly 12,000 Confederate soldiers formed in ranks, stepping forward across a mile of open field under heavy Union artillery and rifle fire. The ground shook with the thunder of cannons, the smoke thick as fog. Men fell in waves, and those who reached the stone wall met fierce resistance from Union forces. The charge failed, with nearly half of Pickett's division lost. As night fell, Lee retreated, his army battered, leaving the fields littered with the dead and wounded of both sides. Over 51,000 casualties, the costliest battle ever fought on American soil. The Battle of Gettysburg would become a turning point in the Civil War. Lee's hopes of invading the North were crushed, and the Confederate momentum was halted. 4 months later, President Abraham Lincoln would stand on that battlefield to deliver the Gettysburg Address, reminding a grieving nation that the war was a test of whether a nation conceived in liberty could endure. But for those who survived, Gettysburg was more than a turning point in history. It was a memory of the cost of division and the price of freedom, the rolling hills forever silent witnesses to 3 days that changed the fate of a nation.